What's your overall reaction to the movie that you saw?
I liked it, and I'm conflicted.
Ken, what you got? We are reviewing today Supergirl, the DCU's newest movie.
This Supergirl is closer to the Superman than I wanted than Superman was.
Really?
When you're telling a story, I need a reason for why you believe what you believe. I don't like when characters voice certain opinions and then don't have a reason for it.
Here's the thing, Ken. I like the movie that you just wrote. Okay? I like the movie. I like the story that you just told. However, that is not the movie that we just watched. Hello and welcome to KRA-KOOM. I am your host, Octavius Newman, and we are reviewing today Supergirl, the DCU's newest movie. And with me today on the show are two of the homies who have also seen this movie and have strong opinions, Ken Sparks and Dan Mall. Gentlemen, how the heck are you?
I'm quite well, man. Sorry. I was trying to be like, okay, so who's going to go? But no, I'm quite well, man. I'm having a great morning just because I'm here with you all. But yeah, overall, I think that this has been a good weekend thus far, even though it just started. And yeah, there's a moth in here suddenly.
Dan, how you doing?
Life is good. Ready to talk all things Supergirl, Superman, all the things. So I'm ready.
Great point. Internet, those listening and watching, I'm telling you right now, we are going to spoil everything about Supergirl 2026. If you have not seen this movie, I need you to know right now, this will be no holds barred. If you have not read Tom King's comic book, or would it be graphic novel? Well, series on Supergirl, we're going to spoil that. DCU, James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, MCU, Superman, stuff from the internet about Man of Tomorrow, anything that might be involved with past Superman, present Superman, Supergirl, future, all that stuff, it's up for grabs. The spoiler wall is going up, and we're letting you know if you come past it, you made this choice. 3, 2, 1, it's your fault. Okay, now before we dig in 100%, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, big shout out and thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel. We really appreciate you for that. Thank you to everyone that gave us a like on our last episode. And a huge thank you to everyone that shared a clip or the show with somebody else that you think would appreciate what we got going on. Huge thank you. We appreciate you very much. So now, let's do a quick synopsis of the movie that we've seen. I'm going to read it straight from off what the interwebs told us, straight from the director, writer, copywriter's mouth. Here's what it says about Supergirl. When an unexpected and ruthless adversary strikes too close to home, Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, reluctantly joins forces with an unlikely companion on an epic interstellar journey of vengeance and justice. Does that sound like the movie we saw?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's talk about the initial reactions, your kind of quick out of the theater before we dig into the meat of it. Let's start with you, Dan. What's your overall reaction to the movie that you saw?
Overall take, my log line for this is I liked it and I'm conflicted.
I want to hear more about that. Ken, what you got?
So coming out of the theater, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay. It was a lot of and han, because I feel like I was trying to convince myself to like the movie because I wanted to like the movie going in.
Okay, so for me, fellas, here's what it was. That wasn't great. That wasn't a good movie. Ken and I saw this together, y'all, and I think that's literally what happened. We came out of the theater, we looked at each other, and my sentiment to him is like, that wasn't a great movie. Yeah, I didn't love that. I wanted to, but that wasn't very good. So let's dig into the meat of what's going on. Open floor, like, give me some thoughts about how you feel about this movie. We can go scene for scene. We can start from the beginning and move through. Open floor. How do you guys want to talk about this? Tell me more about what you're thinking about the movie we saw.
Can I go first?
Please, Dan, please.
All right. So I separate, was it a good movie and did I like it? Because there's a lot of times for me, there's an awful movie, technically, objectively, and I still love it. And then there's really great movies that I'm like, I didn't really like it, even though it was a good movie, and I can acknowledge it's a good movie. So for me, I agree with what you're both saying. I don't think it was a good movie, but I liked it, despite it not being a good movie, objectively. Part of that is just my bias toward all things Superman, super universe, super family. It could be the worst movie in the history of movies. And because it features Superman and Supergirl and Crypto and all of them, I'm like, it's pretty good. Sorry, not even it was pretty good. I liked it. I also, it's hard to separate it from the comic, from Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is one of my top all-time comic books. I love that whole series. So I was going in thinking, I don't know that they're gonna be able to make this comic book. I don't know that they're like, maybe they'll use some of the inspiration from it and then do a whole new storyline. It was pretty faithful, I think, to Woman of Tomorrow. I don't think it was as good as the book that Tom King wrote. I think they pulled a bunch of things out that I think were important. I think they pulled a bunch of things out because you can do more things in a comic book than you can in a 2-hour movie. So I think there are good and bad reasons for why they pulled some stuff out. I don't think it was good as the book, but I like the fact that they tried to honor the source material, at least, so much. So all of those things make it to me like, yeah, it was fun. I don't think it was a good movie. I think there's a bunch of things in it that didn't make sense. I think there's a bunch of things that I wish they had incorporated from the Tom King version. So that's why, to me, it's like, I liked it. But there's a lot of problematic things. Once we get into plot stuff, I think there's a bunch of problematic things in there too.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Dan. Like, I think the unfortunate thing about this is we have read this comic book, we've read the source material, we've read the canon material, and this does not hold up to the source material. And it's tough. It's tough going into something that you loved so much. Look, literally, I have purchased the hardcover of this joint right here.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
We own this thing and read this thing and go, oh man, this is amazing. I've never seen Supergirl like this. You've got the movie that's coming out. You hear, oh, this is what they're referencing to make oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. Oh, and then you watch the movie and you're like, wait, what the hell? Hold on. Did you read the same book I read? Yeah, it's tough. Ken, you going to say something?
Yeah, so I think that my perspective will be a little bit interesting in contrast with both of you. I have not read the book. So I'm walking into this fresh, and I have this belief in general that there's no such thing as a comic book accurate comic book movie. All of them make changes. There is no line by line unless you're doing the Killing Joke, and we saw how that went. So I'm coming into this fresh. So when I say I didn't enjoy the movie in and of itself, I'm coming from a very independent perspective with no prior knowledge. I own literally 2 copies of this book that I have not read. I've had it for well over a year. So I had
frame.
I didn't mean to do that, but I noticed like they're on both sides of my desk. But yeah, so coming in, that's not true. I read the first issue. I never went past that. I did like the first issue. I just never went past that. So
book readers, we know how that goes. You're like, I'm gonna read this whole. No,
yeah. I can't tell you how many trips I've taken it on and never opened it. But yeah, so coming into this, I'm looking at this independently without any prior or much prior source or book knowledge. I'm just looking at it as a film. Like, as a movie, I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to. And I've never really had a problem with separating what I read in the comic book from my expectations of a movie, especially an adaptation in general, because my philosophy has always been every iteration of a story is its own universe. So tell me what story that you're telling me in this medium, because they don't often fit together or easily translate to one another when you're crossing mediums, right? So I'm looking at this as its own independent story, and the story that I was told wasn't great, or I should say, it wasn't told well.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. I mean, Dan, what's interesting to me about what you said is I liked it, but I didn't think it was good, but so that combination, like, I feel you.
Yeah.
There are things that people are like, this is universally bad. I'm like, but that's not what I'm talking about, though. Okay. I have different relationships with this information, with this IP, and internet listeners, watchers. You may not know this about Dan Maul. Like, I know this about Dan Maul. Dan Maul loves Superman. It's his favorite. You know, like, I've been to Dan's office. I've seen some of his various graphic novels and such. So yeah, there's some bias. I want to hear more about that, Dan. Like, how does the math for you on this?
So I want to think the way that Ken does. I really want to. I just don't. I don't know if I can, because it's not only the Superman family, you know, it's not even that canon. It's also the whole canon of comic booknists now and comic book movies, as we expect. So, you know, generally my worldview is that the book is always better than the movie, right? Regardless of comic book, novel, fiction, you know, whatever it is. I think the book is going to be better than the movie. So I'm like, I go in accepting that. But in comic book canon, we have a really grand exception to that rule, at least in my opinion, which is Infinity War. I think Infinity War is a better movie than the source material. I thought the source material was good, you know, Infinity Gauntlet. But I think that the movie, and we can't just call it the movie, right? Because there are 22 movies that build up to the movie, or 21, like, so there's all of that. So I'm like, in comic book canon right now, as it relates to movies and source material, we have examples of you can do better than the book. Yes. And this is what it requires. It requires multiple years and decades of organic buildup, plus a plan, plus all this stuff. And so
I mean, it wasn't a plan, Dan.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's both of those things. It's organic. It's like, well, let's see what happens if we put Nick Fury in this trailer. And then there's also like, hey, once we see these things coming together, how about we plan 2 movies out, which is definitely a contrast from how James Gunn came out, you know, of being the head of the DCU and being like, all right, y'all, here's the plan. And it's like, oh, okay, so from the jump, there is a whole universe. And that's part of what I was conflicted about in this movie, in that I think that what they did was they introduced a Supergirl who fits really well in the DCU, but is not the Supergirl who's in Woman of Tomorrow, the book.
Oh, Dan, that's good.
So I'm like, because I'm like, how could they put this Supergirl in this DCU universe? I don't think she would fit. Yeah. And we could talk about that more, like who she is in the book and who she is in the movie. But I'm like, I think they picked a DCU appropriate. They cast it appropriately. Her vibe, her kind of rock and roll punk, like, especially as an offset to the David Corrin sweat. Like, I'm punk rock. It's like, nah, man. Like, that whole thing from that movie. I think they picked an appropriate Supergirl foil to Corrin Sweat's Superman. And I don't think that. But she wasn't a good foil to Ruthie, which she is in the book. Yeah. So it's like, that's the conflict, is like, well, which one do you pick? You know, I don't envy the filmmakers and the writers and the directors for like, well, how do you pick which character to show here? Because there's a bunch of different versions of that character that you can decide to write in and decide not to write in.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we did like. Okay. I can get into a little bit of that. Millie Alcock, I think she does a good job in the role of Kara Zor-El as Supergirl. I think she, as an actor, did really well with what she was given. You know, like the look, the delivery. I believe her. I believe all the stuff that she's doing. Ruthie, same thing. I think that I never seen her before as a performer, but I think she did well. I think all of the performers did well with what they had. Jason Momoa as Lobo. I mean, you know, he didn't have a whole lot to work with, but I think overall, I think the performances from what the people were given, I think they did well. You know what I mean? I'm trying to avoid getting into the stuff that I struggle with. And again, y'all, you don't have to wait for me. I want this to be like chit chat. You can dive in and comment and stuff. But go ahead, Ken. What were you going to say?
Let me tell you why you're wrong. No, I agree with I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that Millie Alcock was. Hey, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. every time I say, let me tell you something now, I think of John Bernthal. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think Millie Alcock is incredible in this role. I think that she fits this role perfectly. And I don't really necessarily know how I feel about Ruthie and that character and that actress. I don't think the actress is bad. And
Right.
like you said, we're trying not to get into the things that are bad in this, but they're so tied together
We'll get to
because
it, but
I'm
it's tough.
yeah,
Not a lot of
it's
people saying
tough
about
because
this.
I'm looking at these actors who are doing the best that they can with what they're being given. And what
Yeah.
they're being given, it is not helping, right? Same thing with Lobo. Lobo is the one character that I think a lot of people are going to come out of this, or not the one character, but one of the characters that a lot of people are going to come out of this thinking, oh, that was great. He was Lobo. I can't wait to see the next Lobo movie. I didn't come out of there
Wait,
feeling that
hold
way.
on. Wait. You think everybody's gonna leave this going more Lobo, please? More see you later, tits. Like what?
I thought that Jason Momoa of the main people, actually, I won't even call him a main person. He's barely in this movie as much as he was promoted. He ain't really in it that much, and when he's there, I can't remember. Anyway, so we'll get into the negatives when we get to the negatives. But yeah, I don't really think that many people did, or I don't really think that there are many performances that I didn't enjoy. Actually, I don't think there were any. The other things that I liked with this movie is I like the aesthetic. I like the look of it. The costume looks great. I thought that I forget what the name of the not Argus, obviously that's not it. The name of Supergirl's dome planet. I thought that looked cool at the very least. So I thought that the aesthetic was there. We'll get into the next one and get into the negatives because it's so hard to not be like, but you know what I mean? So yeah, that's it for me.
Dan, what worked for you?
I think on the Lobo point, I think that for those who haven't read the book, and Ken, I don't know if you know this, so Lobo's not in the book.
I didn't think so.
Lobo's not in the source material, so it feels a little bit to me like the brief was showing. It's like, well, we got to put Lobo in here because we're going to need him later, somewhere else. Like, and again, the big contrast that we have to this is the way that the MCU integrates characters. Where when they integrate Scarlet Witch into an Iron Man film, it's because we need her in that movie.
Right.
It's not because they're trying, not just because they're trying to set her up for another thing. So I think like with this one, it was like Lobo had no arc in this movie. He was cool looking, like, and Jason Momoa as that role, especially in contrast to him as Aquaman, is like, well, all right, fits way better. So I think that it was a little bit like, why is he in here? You could take him out of the whole movie. You could do a Star Wars machete cut of this.
Right.
You could just like, let's just kill Jar Jar Binks altogether, and it's actually a better movie.
Exactly.
You could kind of do that for Lobo here.
I felt the exact same way.
So I think that it felt a little bit extraneous to me.
Yeah. I felt the exact same way. I don't remember a single thing that Lobo did that was actually impactful to the story. Even with Ruthie's escape later on in the movie, it comes across as he encouraged her to do it and he was proud of her, but we never even saw that on screen. So in my mind, Ruthie came up with that by herself. So nothing he did, like even in the final fight, even in actually all the fights, I'm like, what did he actually do?
Threw that hook weapon thing and yanked it
He
back?
threw it. Yeah, he held it to one person's neck at the end. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't even know much about him other than what
back.
other people have said about him. Right? So we're supposed to believe that he's this badass. But
Yeah.
I wasn't shown.
One other thing that worked for me on the movie is the flashback to Krypton when Kara's father put the force field around it. I forget the planet's name.
Argo City.
Argo City.
Argo.
And the whole explanation of what is going on, where she is showing the pain that she went through and the difficulty and the Krypton radiation poisoning and all of that kind of stuff. Like that's where in the movie I started to pay attention and kind of go, oh, okay, this is why. This is what's going on. These are the reasons why she feels the way she feels. Like you said, the movie is telling me this. Now, I know some of this because I read the source material, but this is the time where the movie is explaining to me, why is this character, Kara Zor-El, like this? I think that was good, but I'm not so sure it did a great job of fully telling me or justifying some of her behavior. You know what I
I
mean? Does that
agree
make
with
sense?
that. No, I agree with that 100%. I don't know if you want to get into it right now,
Well, let's
but
get into it. Let's feel free to dive into like maybe even like bending this into some of the stuff that we didn't love about the film too.
okay, so one of the things that really bothered me about the movie, and I did like parts of this movie, and also this is not the worst movie in the world. It's
No.
a passable film, right? That's the best I can give it. But one of the things that really bothered me was Supergirl's constant push towards, oh no, you don't want to live a life of revenge, or you don't want to take revenge out on this person or kill this person or so on and so forth, because it'll change you, it'll make you different. And then we never see anything to tell us why she feels that way. Like there's nothing that she does that happens. Because I'll tell you what I was expecting, because she kept saying that. I was expecting Brainiac or someone to show up and destroy Argo City, because partially because I've seen that type of story told before with Supergirl. But also, if you're going to have such a character specifically, who's going to have a staunch stance against revenge and feel like she's the one who has to take on the killing and so on and so forth, you would think that they would show you why she feels that way. Her planet dying of kryptonite poisoning is not a good reason to go off on a anti-revenge kind of speech and then tell us why she's killing people now, or while she's comfortable with executing justice in a way that her cousin might not be, which is totally fine. But your staunch sign on, don't commit the revenge, it's like, well, why do you feel that way? I never got that.
I think I thought the same thing in the beginning of the movie too. And again, I'm going to try not to continue to refer to the source material, that much, but it's hard for me to not do that. The source material gives a really good reason for why she goes on this quest with Ruthie. In the movie, there's a lot that's assumed, and maybe so maybe I will get attacked for this, but we'll see.
For it.
The motivation seems to be, he hurt my dog, I need to go get the antidote for my dog.
Right.
I didn't get the sense in the beginning that she loved the dog.
Agreed.
I got it later in the movie.
Agreed.
And I'm like, I think what they're trying to say is people love dogs, so of course she would do this. And I'm like, but you didn't really give us a save the cat moment here. You gave us he's an annoying dog, and but then all of a sudden she loves the dog. And it's like, I could rationalize it. Yeah, people love dogs. I'm not a dog person, so I don't empathize with that idea. But I'm like, I get it. People, there's a lot of people who treat dogs as part of their family, and especially this is the only being in the universe that's been with her for the last 15 years with this traumatic. I can put all that together, but I wanted the movie to tell it to me. I wanted the movie to be like, this is the most special thing in the world to her. And I think we got it a little bit later on. They sort of connected the dots, but I'm like, wait, why is she doing this? Whereas in the source material, they talk about the fact that Ruthie is so stubborn and so I'm going to go avenge my father who gets killed in the book. In this movie, it's her family. I'm going to go avenge my family with or without you, Supergirl. And Supergirl's like, well, I can't just let this girl, who doesn't have any powers or training or combat, I'm not going to let this girl do this alone. So I as a caring person, I'm going to go with her. I don't think that they set that up. And maybe that's editing. Maybe there's some stuff on the cutting room floor that may have established that. Who knows? But I didn't see it in the movie. So it's just hard to connect to Supergirl because I don't think that we know who she is and what matters to her. I think we know that this traumatic thing happened to her, so is that what you're saying has given her all of these worldviews and missions that she's going on? That just didn't feel put together enough.
I think even
it's really a situation where it's like, it's not enough. The stuff that you're telling me in this movie, it's not enough. So we see Ruthie and her family be killed. We see Ruthie's family be killed. And of course, yes, I'm on revenge. We've seen many movies where killing a dog is enough for John Wick to go, everybody got to die. So if you kill my mother, my father, my brother, and I'm left alone by myself, total reason to go on a revenge quest. Understood. And we've also seen the lone wolf in cub trope many times. Mandalorian and Grogu, Wolverine, Logan. We've seen, you know what I mean? We've seen this concept over and over and over again. And why do we keep doing it? Because it works. You know what I mean? We understand. Yep. I maybe don't care for this person initially, like the lone wolf doesn't care about the cub initially, but through the circumstances and the situations, we develop this relationship where I'll die for the club. I'll die for the cub. I'll do something, you know what I mean? Because I've developed such a relationship for this character, this person that I'm with, that I'll sacrifice. I'll do the thing because I love you so much. We understand that. But this movie is trying to like half-ass it. You know what I'm saying? It's trying to go, like we take two people and put them together. They kind of don't like each other. And now they have this reason that they got to go on this quest. And it's like, but no. The reason why it works is because you have explained to us the relationship between these two characters.
They developed a care for one another.
Yes, you make us feel a lot about these people. And this movie didn't do that. It didn't explain to me why Kara cares about crypto. Why?
It didn't explain to me why Kara cared about anything. And as a matter of fact, I think one of the things that really took away from Supergirl, you have an entire I'm assuming sex trafficking ring happening, and it doesn't seem like Kara really gives a damn about that at all. Even in the scene where you have the family who poisons her in the bar, who's trying to make an exchange for their daughter, Kara doesn't seem to give a damn about that either. And so when that entire family dies, I'm like, well, damn, where's the superhero at? And it's okay that she would fail in saving them because that would actually add to her character. But she wasn't even in the vicinity of this. I mean, she was in the vicinity, but she wasn't even like close to like Sid or anything like that. So nothing that happened of consequence with that family actually impacted her. So it just seemed like everything was a byproduct, or everything was was an afterthought compared to crypto. And when you don't, as Dan said, show that crypto is someone that you really believe that she cares about deeply, then everything just kind of feels off. Everything. And not only that, you have Ruthie, who has this moment of, I don't want to be like you, which is like, okay, I understand that. 10 minutes later, I'm sorry I didn't say I didn't want to be like you, even though she didn't show any kind of difference in change. And I'm just like, what's happening here? I did not understand the change in care to the point where when Kara invites her onto the ship at the end, I'm like, why do you care about this girl suddenly? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and how old is this girl? And you're buying? Like, there's a lot of lines in this movie that it kind of seems like, well, wait, are you really thinking about how this all connects? And to get into another thing that I was struggling with the movie, it seemed like at certain points in the movie, stuff was just happening. They were just smashing action figures together, bro. They were just doing stuff. When the fight scenes happened, it was like, I think you all take for granted that we love this stuff, and I don't appreciate that. Okay? Let me tell you something. I don't appreciate it. Don't play with me. Don't take the fact that I loved, okay, yeah, I got this. All right? But that don't mean you can just do whatever you want in a movie. You like Supergirl, right, Octavius? Yeah. Remember Krem from the comic books? Yup. Remember Ruthie? Yup. You like big action scenes too, right? Right? Yeah. Guess what? We're going to just make everybody fight right now, smack dab in the middle of the movie on multiple times. We're going to loosely reference some of the stuff that you like, and you're going to just love it, right? Right. We don't got to think about the source material. We don't got to think about you as a watcher and a listener and a consumer of this stuff and give you a good story. We just have to jingle keys in front of your face, right? We just got to show you the stuff that you like a cat or like a little baby. I don't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to put effort into this stuff and make me care about it. So there was a certain point in the movie where I just kind of sat back in my seat and I was just like, fam, is this over? Like, when are we moving forward? Like, when are you going to show me something that matters? The fight scenes have to move the story forward. They have to make things matter. You know what I mean? If you're just smashing action figures together, I can do that by myself. You know what I mean?
I think the movie didn't know what it was. Yeah. And to me, I'm like, it's easy to say, you know, there's a bunch of clowns working on this, but we know that that's not true.
We know that that's
like
not true.
The director, Craig Gillespie, like, if you've seen I, Tonya, who he directed, excellent movie.
Yes.
The source material, Tom King and Anna Nogueira, who also, I think she wrote the movie, and she also wrote parts of the book, I think, if I understand. Like, clearly we know, you know, James Gunn, we know these people can make good things. So it's like, it's not that they're incapable of doing it. So to me, it feels like, well, where did the vision for this come from? And who was the person or the people or the committee that said, like, we're going to do this and we're going to not do all this other stuff? Whereas it feels like they piled all the stuff in. I think there's 4 different genres of movies in here. Mm-hmm. It's like, and what I think the book did successfully, even though the book was a little bit conflicted in this too, is it was a buddy cop movie. It was a buddy cop story. And I think that's what the movie could have been. But I think they mashed in too much Western. They mashed in too much space opera. They mashed in too much, you know, dystopian. Like the whole, you know, trafficking thing, like that felt straight out of Mad Max, you know, and it's like, wait, we don't need that in this movie. Right. Like that whole thing that can go away. But if that was there to emotionally manipulate me as the viewer, like, oh, this bad thing is happening and this is an easy way to make you feel something for this. I'm like, it didn't land. One thing that I think was really missing from the story. So we're going to get in a little bit to like, what's the movie I wish it was. Let's go there. What I loved about the book that I think they could have done successfully in the movie is in the movie, they didn't give Supergirl an arc, really. Mm-hmm. Like there's no change in her.
Zero.
In the book, that's also true. But the reason I think it works in the book is because the book is narrated by Ruthie. Mm. It's a Ruthie story, not a Supergirl story. And that's what I think was really good about the book. And I think they could have done that with the movie is they could have given it to us from the perspective. I don't know how old Ruthie is, 12 or 13, something like that. Like they could have given it, right. Like they could have given us a 13-year-old's perspective to arguably the most powerful being in the universe. Like I think from the comic books, I don't know if it exists in this canon, but like I think Supergirl is stronger than Superman. I believe she doesn't hold back as much. She has more raw power, you know, like,
and I think she kind of,
so it's like she's even more powerful.
More like she's more willing to go there.
Like that's an interesting character, but also I think we see this in a lot of movies that have ultra powerful characters that don't really have a lot of flaws or boring to write. So I think that's why I think it could be boring to write Supergirl because she's an all powerful, super duper caring person. Like what flaws does she have? And the flaw that they gave her, she has trauma. It's like, okay, mm-hmm. that's something interesting there. But I think the movie was about her, but she didn't have an arc. Whereas the book was about Ruthie, which is fine that Supergirl doesn't have an arc because Ruthie has an arc. And I think that they could, you know, and again, it's hard to not reference MCU. You know, the MCU works so well because they give these characters an arc either within a movie, but also within the whole saga. You know, Tony Stark got an arc, you know, Cap got an arc, like, and it took multiple movies to display that. And then there's some characters that don't need that. So I think that the movie was trying to be too much. And I'm like, if they could have made it a buddy cop movie with Ruthie as the lead in the same way that they made, you know, the Infinity War, Thanos' hero's journey, like, I think there could have been something there, but it felt like they were trying to pack too much in the movie. Maybe because they had to, maybe because they were trying to figure it out and there's a release date. I don't know what the factors were, but it felt a little bit like a first draft of a movie. And like, I would like to see the third draft of this movie.
I think that's definitely a good way to look at it. It definitely feels like a first draft. One of the things that you mentioned in terms of Kara's weaknesses in being all powerful, one of the issues I had with this film was them spamming the reasons why she would be weak. So what I mean by that is it was a constant thing of her going up into the sun to absorb the sun's light. And I'm going to nerd out in the fact that when you see that in the Superman movie, when Superman, I'm not comparing a man to a woman, but when you see that in the Superman movie and he flies up and he's basking in the sun, it's usually because he just went through some shit. And I'm sorry, can you curse on your program?
Yes, you can.
Okay. He just went through some shit, and now he has to go up to the sun, and he gains perspective, and he also becomes more powerful. When you do that 3 or 4 times in the same movie, it becomes less effective. When you put her on a green and yellow planet, I don't know if that's from the comic at all, but when you put her on a green and yellow planet and you basically sideline her for a good portion of the movie while the rest of the movie's happening and she's just laying there, I don't really feel like she's involved anymore. I don't really feel like so now I'm waiting for the sun to come back. And now we're doing that trope again, whether or not she's flying up or not. We're waiting on the sun. And I sent Octavius a meme from The Office when Gabe was like, "Shut up about the sun." Like I was sick and tired of the sun thing because it just felt like the only way you could put any kind of stop or flaw into her is by the one weakness that she has, and it just became this repetitive, empty kind of gesture, if you will.
It was that, or you can put kryptonite darts in Krem's wrist gauntlet, which I've been waiting for you for a long time, and now I finally have, I don't know why I'm doing this accent, I finally have the opportunity to use wrist gauntlets with kryptonite. Like, what are you talking about? Why do you have kryptonite? Where did you get that from? You waiting on me? Did you know I existed? This is what I'm talking about. You can't just do stuff whenever you want and just throw kryptonite.
Exactly.
Like, how does he even know what kryptonite is? Where did he get kryptonite from?
Or that she's Kryptonian.
Family, this is what this is the stuff I'm talking about, where I'm like, I need you all to actually treat this like it is a story worth telling and not just throw stuff at it. Yes, we understand that the sun powers. I saw the movie with my kid. My kid's like, does the sun make her strong? And I'm like, yes. So good. The kid in the audience understands that. But when you do it over and over and over again, you're communicating something to us. The thing that they didn't do with Krypton, they didn't explain, okay, Krypton hurts her. But then they didn't explain how it ended up in Krem's hands, especially in light of the fact that this connects with other stuff outside of this. But even just in the movie, it's like, I don't understand why he has that and why he's able to do that to her. Did I miss something? Did they explain that somewhere?
So I differ from you a little bit in that them not explaining how it ended up in Krem's hand, because we've seen characters throughout movies, comics, whatever, just suddenly have kryptonite. What I don't get in this situation is that I don't think Kryptonians are known well enough in this universe thus far for people to just know that kryptonite does this, right? I haven't seen that in this universe so far. It was like, oh, that's that Kryptonian. Oh, that's Supergirl. Oh, she's from Krypton. Like, I haven't seen this relationship with Krypton that everybody else in the universe has, where they just know, right? If you introduce that in a Superman movie and then Lex Luthor tells everybody, and that's usually how it happens, and now everybody's has the skinny on, oh, Krypton hurts him, that's fine because now everybody knows. You got it in Metallo's chest, like that kind of thing, right? But when you just introduce her as this one person from this one side planet, so to speak, who no one really knows about except Kara, it's been destroyed. She looks like any other humanoid ever, and she doesn't even have powers when she's under a red sun. How do you even know that she's a Kryptonian? Why are you even waiting to use it on her? Like none of that jives.
Exactly.
Also, there's only 2 of them in the universe.
Two.
Right.
There's the 2 left, right? It's like, so wait, why is everybody harvesting kryptonite, for to fight these 2 people? I mean, I get that it's Superman, but I guess that's a good investment if you're a supervillain, where you're like, well, I'll plan for the best foil that you're right. But it just seems like an odd choice.
Make sure I got kryptonite in here, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah, like, all right. So I think one thing that I like that they took away from the book is there was a bunch of stuff in the book that if they had put it in the movie, they'd have to over explain it and spend a lot of time on it. For example, in the book, the way that she ends up on the planet with the green sun, which in the book, it's only a green sun, not a green and yellow sun. But how they end up there is through magic. But it's for a reason. It's not just to sideline her for a minute. I like there's a line that the screenwriters of a lot of the MCU movies, Marcus McFeely and Christopher McFeely. I forget their names. Anyway, they say like every scene has to do 2 things, right? It has to do the thing that it needs to do for the plot, but it also has to set up something else that will pay off later. And in the book, the reason that Supergirl is sidelined on that planet, on the green planet, is so that Ruthie can fight dinosaurs with a sword. So we learn about Ruthie in that scene. There's a bunch of dinosaurs. Supergirl's down and out. She's like throwing up and having seizures and cold sweats and all this stuff. And Ruthie just has a sword, and she's a 12-year-old girl who has to fight off dinosaurs, and she does. Yeah. So we're like, oh, we learn about Ruthie in that scene, as it's not always Supergirl protecting Ruthie. Sometimes it's Ruthie protecting Supergirl, and it like really plays into the buddy cop thing, really well. So we learn about Ruthie. It advances that relationship for us as viewers. And in the movie, they don't do that. And I get it. CGing dinosaurs is expensive. So, I get all that stuff. But like, we don't learn anything about Ruthie other than she goes down to the water and she gets captured. And then Supergirl just has to wait. Like, it's like the worst movie plot. Just wait it out and then you'll be fine. It's like, well, wait a minute. It didn't advance anything.
She was powered up again.
Yeah.
That was a letdown, bro.
All right.
But
I was thinking about it. Mm-hmm.
Real quick, the thing that it was she got to put her suit on and become Supergirl. That's kind of what it seemed like in the script. They were like, okay, she hasn't worn the suit. So we gotta find a way to like create the heroic, here I am fully realized, the Supergirl moment in the suit. So we're gonna put her on the green and yellow planet, right? Okay, cool. And then, right, we're going to, it's like, no disrespect, because writing is hard. That's not the intention of what I'm trying to do here. Writing is hard. Anybody who sets out to make a movie, I know is trying to do their best. Also, at the same time, I'm struggling because I want to like this. And part of what I'm feeling is, I think you're taking the shortcut because we like the Supergirl suit. You know what I'm saying? We're going to sideline her, put her in the suit. She gets to now rise and hover above and create this moment with the suit on because you've been waiting for an hour to have that happen. But the thing is, beyond that, it doesn't really, I don't feel anything. Anything. You're not helping me. It doesn't connect with anything other than just anticipation. And then when you gave it to me, it's kind of like, cool, dopamine hit. And then it's like, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's... Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ken. You go.
It feeds into one of my biggest pet peeves with some of filmmaking, especially with established characters. And I guess you could say Supergirl isn't as established as others, but we do know who superheroes are. One of my biggest gripes in film is when they have a new Godzilla movie and then they hide Godzilla like we don't know what he looks like. And it's the same thing with superhero suits. Like, I am aware that I'm watching a superhero movie. They can be in the suit the entire time. I don't understand why you just have them in normal. We know they're superheroes. It's not that it's not special, but if you're going to have that moment, earn it. At the same time, we know Supergirl's Supergirl. Like, this isn't a secret, right? It would be akin to having a reveal of the Spider-Man suit in the 9th movie. It's like, what are we talking about, right? We've already seen Superman, so we know that Supergirl is, and we're already introduced to her as Super, essentially. There's no reason to hide that, right? The other part of that, too, is with the way that Supergirl... I lost my whole train of thought. I'm sorry, my ADHD just struck. It just so Dan, I'm going past this to you.
I think one of the more interesting things about the movie is the fact that she wasn't in the suit the whole time. She was in a trench coat and a Blondie t-shirt. It's like, cool. You know, I think one thing we should acknowledge here too is we are three men talking about a movie with a female lead character.
Sure, yeah,
a woman lead character. I saw the movie with my wife last night, and one of the things that she pointed out, she was like, "You could tell this is written by a man, or you could tell that this is a man." And I was like, "Oh, tell me, like, what do you notice?" She's like, "Every girl puts their hair up when they get into a fight or play sports."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Oh, never noticed that."
Wow.
Like, didn't even. And she's like, "Yeah, it was like the first thing I noticed." Right? It's like that. Like, there's a lot of those kind. And you know, as I'm reading threads and Twitter and all that stuff about it, it's like there's a lot of people who are like, "Hey, Supergirl in a skirt." Like, there's a reason that the Melissa Benoist version of it has leggings. You know, it's like it's more realistic to that character. If you're really trying to paint that character as a real person in the universe that had, you know, not a plaything that you could just, like, you know, like you said, Octavius, not like an action figure that you can go, oh, I'm going to mash into a bunch of other action figures. So I think that there's a lot of stuff about this movie that's a little bit, it plays too much to the tropes of comic book stuff, and not even modern comic book stuff, but old comic book stuff, right? Like I think that especially for this character, her irreverence, right, which is not a thing in the book, which I appreciate about this movie. Like, her irreverence is like, well, why should she care about a suit? Like, what sacredness does a suit have to her? And then I think they tried to make it that maybe Ruthie inspired that something, but it's like, it just fell flat because it's like, so she had a hangover, she was sick, she was throwing up, and then she changed in the morning to get ready. Like, is that what's happening? Like, there's no symbolism to that. Whereas in other superhero movies, we see it. We see Cap and Tony saying, like, put on the suit, and it means something. Right. It means like, okay, like I'm in a different mode when I have the suit on, and we didn't really see that in the movie. Again, those scenes could be on the cutting room floor somewhere, you know, that just got cut in the edit, but like, it just didn't feel like a thing. It just felt like you said, dopamine hit, and then, oh, cool, she's in the suit now. But like, you know, tie the suit to Superman somehow, tie it to the family, tie it to the House of El, because like there's a lot of mythology in the suit that's built into it. The symbol, the sign, the emblem, the especially her family roots, honor. Like, there's a ton of ways to do that, it seems like, and it was just like a costume change in the middle of the movie.
I'll shoot it some bail because I do think that they tried to tie the suit to Superman by all the flashbacks that they had of the conversations that they had with one another. One of the things Superman was trying to plead with her about was coming to Earth and making a home. And I don't think that she was willing to accept that. I think that she did not feel as though she had a home still. So I feel like her putting on the suit was her acknowledging, would be akin to her acknowledging that now she's settled, she's in a place, she's going to be earthbound, she's going to create that community or find her community. So when she puts on the suit, it's almost like her accepting what her cousin was trying to tell her. Oh, you know what? It's time for me to go. Like, it's time for me to become a serious person and be an adult almost, like, and follow what my cousin was saying. My cousin was right about this. I need to find my people. So that's what me putting on this suit kind of symbolizes her accepting that. Did it work? I don't know, but that's, I think, what they were trying to go for.
Here's the thing, Ken. I like the movie that you just wrote. Okay? I like the movie. I like the story that you just told. However, that is not the movie that we just watched. I think Dan said this earlier. This movie doesn't quite know what it wants to be. It wants to do a lot of things at the same time. It wants to be able to showcase a moment that I loved in the movie where the mother, Kara's mother, said, be good.
Yeah, you don't have to that was really good.
Nice. You don't even have to be, you don't have to be, let people push you around or something to that effect, but be good.
You don't,
and I was like, ooh, okay. I want the movie to be about that. Like, hey, what does it mean to have pain and frustration and regret and sorrow and trauma and difficulty, and actually have an example in your family that in some ways everybody loves him. Everybody wants me to. Why can't you be more like your brother? Look at him. He's good. He's married. He's got kids. He's a doctor. What do you do when you're getting drunk every night? You just roaming around place to place. Get your life together, Kara. Why can't you be nice? Why can't you be sweet? Why can't you be kind? Clark is. Look at Clark. If that's what the movie's about and it's her figuring out, how do I be who I am, though? That's not who I am. I'm not Clark. I'm not nice. I'm kind, but I'm not nice. You know what I'm saying? I will cut your throat if you cross me. I will. I'm not like him. But that's not the movie they told us. They showed us that part when Mom was saying that. But if they had made this about her as a character going, how do I deal with the fact that all my people are died and I watched them die? My mother and father sacrificed themselves for me. I got all these powers. I don't always want them. I don't know what to do with myself. And I got this example that's constantly literally hovering over me of what I'm not. Mm-hmm. What do I do then? I like that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like and then when I put the suit on, like you're saying, this is me going, now I know who I am. Now I know how I wear the suit, how I wear the symbol, what it means to me. And now when I put it on, I'm going to go show how I am who I am independently. But Ken, the movie that we just talked about is not the one that we watch. You know?
While you were talking, I was thinking about characters who are similar to Kara's mental makeup and what have you, what they've gone through, trauma, being kind of a drunk, and I don't mean a drunk like she's gone through a lot. She's had a lot of trauma, right? I think about Jessica Jones. The way Jessica Jones is in terms of having all that trauma, being constantly drinking, not being nice, but being kind and caring towards others. I think that Jessica Jones is a perfect exemplification, if that's even a word, of what I would be looking for, not one-to-one, but similar to a character like what they set up with Kara. And of course, there's source material to tell us more like what she should be like. But me just seeing, the one-to-one for characters who are that archetype, I think that Jessica Jones perfectly exemplifies what we're talking about with that balance of not necessarily being nice, but being kind, caring towards others and around them.
We did the spoiler warning, right?
Yep.
So
we're
at the end of the movie.
Past that.
Well, I know we're way past that. Right? So just calling it out here again. At the end of the movie, Ruthie goes to kill Krem.
Rough.
Supergirl's like, you can't do that. Yeah. And then Supergirl kills Krem.
What the hell?
Right? It's like
Dan.
Pretty cut and dry. In the book, they both can't kill him.
Really?
It's an interesting moment in the book. They both can't kill him. Ruthie gets him one-on-one, and she can't do it. And then Supergirl's like, give it to me. I got it. And she can't do it. And that's the fruition of, like, you got to be good, though. Like it pays it off. And I thought it was a cop-out for her to kill Krem at the end, right? To just, all right, we got to tie a bow on it. It's, it's runtime now, so we got to go. I think there's a bunch of interesting things in Supergirl comic lore, which I haven't read a ton of, but I think there's a couple of interesting things that make her a good foil to Superman. In some versions of the canon, I think she's older than him, which makes for an interesting dynamic because I think they explain it. Of course. Yeah, like something about how time works in space.
It took longer for her to
he
get
left
there
first, but she was in space for a while in orbit or something like that. But she's older. And so she does have a different perspective than Clark. And you can't write it off as, well, she's just a kid. And it's something that's interesting to me about the casting choice of Millie Alcock. I thought she's a good cast. But what it does is, like, her stature is small. She's a small person. Right. So it makes her look like a kid comparatively to Superman. So I think we think of her as a kid, in that way. So like, just listen to your older cousin. He knows right, you don't. But if you make her older than him, then there's an wait on a sec. He doesn't necessarily know more. He's definitely more naive, which they paint him to be in this universe. Like they did that on purpose in the first movie. He's naive. He's optimistic. He's all that stuff. And so I think there's an interesting foil opportunity there if you write her that way, you know, to be older than him, to be a person who has trauma as opposed to him having no trauma. Yeah, his planet blew up, but he was a baby. He didn't know. He doesn't know what he lost. She knows what she lost very deeply. And she said it in the movie, and I think they showed it, you know, fairly well, which is she was like, Krypton didn't die in a day.
Right.
Like it was radiation poisoning over 8 years or whatever it was on Argo City. Like she watched her, and I think in the comic book, she wasn't born on Argo City. She was in, I think, elementary school or high school or something like that on Krypton. She had friends that she watched die in an explosion. Now she's sent up into space with this small satellite group watching them die. She had to dig graves for them on Argo City. Yeah. Like that trauma explains why we would have a sad Supergirl who shows up on a planet on her 23rd birthday ready to get blasted because she's trying to feel something and she's trying to numb, you know, to feel something and numb the pain away or whatever, you know, whatever it is. It explains why she would go to a red sun planet and go like, I just need to do this on my birthday. And she's forlorn and she's, you know, and then she meets this girl who has the rage that she has not been able to channel. And there's an interesting dynamic. So it's like, we miss all of that in this movie. And you know, maybe that's too boring of a movie, but I think it just gives the character motivation that we didn't see here.
Key thing you're saying there, character motivation. I want to talk more about, like you said, the ending. Kara has been telling Ruthie the whole movie, you can't kill him, it's going to haunt you forever. How do you know that? Where you getting that from?
Exactly.
You know, where are you? What? I don't have a problem with you saying that, because I think there's something maybe in our morality as humans that are like, right, you know, and in storytelling, right? I believe in storytellers. I believe you. Yes. Yeah. But Kara, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? But okay, fine, I'll go with it. You know, and like you're saying, Ken, did something happen? Are you going to explain that to us? You're going to pay that off? Never pay it off. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, fine. And then, shink, you know what I mean? And then he's like, man, that ain't nothing. And she goes, shink again and stabs him again. And then it's like, all right, let's go holler at Clark. We did it. Wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. How did you get there? Why did you do that? You just spent the whole movie telling us, and through Kara, don't do it. You're going to regret it. Then you do it. And it seems like you levitate. You just float back to Earth. You hang out with Clark. You have a chit chat and you say, Clark, I'm ready to come home. I just killed a guy who was a sex trafficker. You know, I feel great. I'm ready. Crypto's here. He's better. Like, she literally kills him, gets the antidote, heals Crypto. They go on a bench. She goes on a bender with a 13-year-old, and then goes back to Metropolis and hangs out at Clark's house. So everything you just told me for the past hour, you just kind of like threw over your shoulder and were like, "But we got to get to Manor tomorrow, and Kara's got to be on Earth." That's not cool.
That was a big point. I mentioned this earlier, but that was a big point of contention for me, because I don't like when characters voice certain opinions and then don't have a reason for it. Now, as you said, Octavius, I think some of us may feel that the revenge and killing for revenge is obviously, not obviously, but maybe morally incorrect, right? Yeah. But you're telling a story with a character. I can say that to any one of you, and most of us, I agree with that, but we're not telling a story. We're just having a conversation. When you're telling a story, I need a reason for why you believe what you believe, right? Yes. Even when we have, or any kind of superhero, we know why Daredevil doesn't kill. We know exactly why. It annoys me to no end, because it actually makes me conflicted, because I'm like, yo, you see what Kingpin is doing? Like, you know, this is not going to end well, right? And then you have people like Punisher who are like, I kill because that's what I've been trained to do. And also, these people need killing. If I get an example of Kara like actually killing someone because of something that they even did to somebody else, it doesn't necessarily have to be what they did to Argo City. It could be her seeing a sex trafficker do something maybe in her past that she's dealt with, because it looks like to me that she's had past adventures, past missions, and so on and so forth. So if you show some of that, a flashback to that, where she had to make that decision, and then now she's like, I've reconciled with myself that because this would seem in line with the character. I've reconciled with myself that this type of violence is just in me, and this is just who I am. I am different from Clark in this regard. Then I'm like, cool, I understand you as a character. I know exactly why you feel this way. And I also know why you know what it would do to someone else if they did, because you've had that experience. But if you don't show me that, then I'm like, oh, so you're just preaching. You're just preaching because you just think that that's what it is, right? And then you just suddenly don't follow that belief. What do you believe?
What do you believe?
What's happening? Yeah, so that was a big issue with me. But at the same time, I've been told through the lore of others that Kara is the one that you don't want to mess with, right? Kara is the one where it's like, if you kidnap her dog, like I've seen so many memes of Superman's not afraid or Superman's not worried about Crypto because of his well-being. He's worried about Crypto because what Kara will do to him if something happens to Crypto, and what Kara would do to everyone else. She would basically raise the planet. I don't see that though, right? So yeah, but also this isn't the worst movie in the world.
I'm gonna read a panel from the comics. So I got my own version. I didn't hold it up yet. I got my own version.
So we got it all. Hardback,
we're
paperback, Kindle,
right, digital. You know.
Yep.
In the comic, she admits that she doesn't do it for Crypto. So Ruthie says, "What about Crypto? We can't kill Krem, right? Only he's the only one who knows about the poison, so we could save him." And she goes, "Crypto? Oh, Crypto's fine. He's being taken care of by the veterinarian on your world. I just made up all that stuff about needing to find Krem to save him, needing you to come with me because you knew what Krem looked like. You don't think I could have solved all those problems on my own? Come on, I'm Supergirl."
Holy shit!
Like that pays it off. It's like, yeah, Crypto's fine. The healer figured it out. It wasn't some deathly poison. It was poison, and then they figured it out. Dogs get poisoned a lot, and they make them throw up, and then they're good after a couple of days. So her whole thing was like, yeah, I knew that you needed me to do this, but you wouldn't let me come along with you, and so like this is how we had to do it.
Wow.
And the whole like I feel like that's the kind of stuff that was missing from the movie. Is like they made Kara the moral authority of the movie, but we don't have any reason for why she's the moral authority.
Right.
Like it's like, and especially this is I'm particularly critical of this in superhero movies, because superhero movies are the ones where they ask us to buy into a fictitious world, and we can stomach anything. Alien with 8 arms, got it. You know, this thing happened. The space travel through these wormholes, yeah, no problem, got it. And so, like especially in superhero movies, we have the like, tell us what the premise is, and then as long as you follow the rules of the world that you built, we're good. We'll come along with it. So when you build a character that's like, don't kill, we're like, cool, all right, we get it. She doesn't kill, and then when she kills at the end, you're like, well, wait a minute. It's the same problem that people had about the Zack Snyder Superman.
Exactly.
It was like, wait, but we believe that Superman doesn't kill, and then he's going to snap Zod's neck at the, like, wait a sec. You just bait and switched me the whole movie. And so now I don't know what to believe from this movie. It feels like Lost, you know, it feels like Damon Lindelof. Like, yeah, I'm just going to write in polar bears because whatever.
Right.
And you're like, well, what happened to the polar bears? And he's like, oh, that was just a diversion. But like, well, forget it.
But
then.
even with the Zack Snyder film, and I'm like kind of indifferent towards him killing Zod at the end. I'm totally fine with that decision because, like I said, every iteration is different, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get that. You saw him struggle with the decision. Yeah. You saw him being put in a untenable position where if he doesn't kill Zod, those people die, right?
Right, you could buy it.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, wait, that ain't work? You know what I mean? So and that was it. There was no struggle. There was nothing.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. Well, I think we beat up on this movie enough. And here's the thing I want to say. I love movies. I love the cinema.
Yep.
As the meme says. And I love going to movies. And one of the big things about this is whether I love the movie itself, like you said in the beginning, Dan, whether I like it the movie or I didn't like the movie. I like the experience of going to movies, and I love the opportunity to actually have a conversation with my community afterwards to talk about this. So we really want to say thank you for listening to us have this conversation. We want to hear your thoughts about the movie. So if you could leave us a comment on this episode, we'd really appreciate that. And we'd also want to know what your letter grade is, because we're about to give our letter grades right now. So let me explain how the letter grades work on KRA-KOOM. It's very similar to the American school grading systems. A, B, C, D, A. I mean, A, B, C, D, F. A being one of the greatest movies you've ever seen. F being one of the worst movies you've ever seen. And average, just like in school. C is an average movie. So A, B, C, D, F. Folks, let's give our letter grades on Supergirl. Why don't we start with you, Dan? What you got?
Supergirl 2026, to me, I give it a B.
Really? Can I ask?
It's got
Can I
Superman
ask
in it,
why?
and
I think I know why.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. So I'm very critical of the movie, as we've just talked about. But I like that the universe exists, and I want to see more stuff in it. And I kind of wish that James Gunn directed this one as opposed to directing Superman, because it's like, yo, it's a space opera. James Gunn is super good at that. We've seen them in all the Guardians films. I want to see James Gunn. So the fact that we got space, we got aliens, we got other races, we got this version of Supergirl that now exists in this universe, and we get to see her with Superman, without Superman, do other things. I'm super excited for what that set up. So I think we needed a movie to set it up. So this was that movie. I wish I would have given it an A, but it set it up for us. And now we get to see all these things that we've never seen in any other Superman universe before. We didn't see aliens. We didn't see other worlds. The thing I love most about Superman and the Superman universe, and the reason that I've always liked DC over Marvel, is that I don't want the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stories. I live in a neighborhood. I don't live out in space, and I want to see what happens when Superman punches a planet and when Supergirl flies into the sun. I want to see that stuff. We get to see that stuff now. We got to see it in Supergirl. Plot points aside, we got to see her traversing planets and riding intergalactic buses, and I'm like, I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that stuff was really cool. Like I said, I love the visual aesthetic of the movie. All of that was awesome. My letter grade for this would be a C minus. Like I've been saying, peppered throughout, this is not the worst movie in the world. It's not even like offensively bad. I'm just disappointed because I came into it really wanting to enjoy it. I will say something I've always said. I have never walked into a movie wanting to dislike it. I've never that is insane behavior. You going, oh, I can't wait to hate this. Like, relax. You know what I mean? But if I go in,
watch.
You're right. It's like, oh, I'm a validate all my thoughts about this. Like, shut up. Do you like movies? Do you actually like this stuff? Anyway, so when I go to a movie and I'm especially excited to see it and it's disappointing, I'm disappointed. So for me, it's a C minus. I'm disappointed, but it's far from the worst movie, far from the worst superhero movie. It's far from any of that, right? My one gripe with this, obviously I've voiced a lot, but the thing that really stuck out to me was this would be torturous on a rewatch because of how much time they spend not doing anything. I compare it to, and I know people love this movie, and I'm a lover of Rocky as well. Rocky 2, when he's sidelined.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
When Adrian's out and he's sidelined and he's sitting by the bed and we waiting like 15 minutes for her to say, go get him. Or I forget what she said specifically. That is a rough part of the movie. I'm just kind of like, hey, bro, like, can we get to Apollo? Let's get there.
Rocky 2 catch a stray. Why are you bringing Rocky 2 in?
That and Supergirl under the green sun. Those moments were comparable to me. I was literally thinking about them at the same time. Like, yo, we're just sitting here until she gets up.
This is your letter grade. Let me stay out of
C minus. It was C minus. Yeah.
All right, for me, folks, it is also a C minus. Very disappointed. I really wanted to like this more. I really enjoy, as we talked about, I enjoy the source material so much. I like the DCU, and I want the DCU to be great, but this was below the standard for me. This was below. I mean, I think I'm even being a little generous with a C minus. I think that there's a level of disappointment here in how the story was told that I'm just like, man, that ain't it, y'all. Like that's not. And what I'll add in here is this does give me pause about the DCU. Pause. Not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but
Right.
James Gunn has come in and said, don't worry, I got it. I got this. I got it. Okay. I'm going to run the DCU. Okay, cool, James. Let's see what you do. And I'm going to direct Superman. Oh, okay. So you're going to be the GM and the manager. Oh, okay. All right. And then he says, and I'm going to direct Superman Man of Tomorrow. Oh, okay. And then when you watch Supergirl, it seems like a backrooms copy of a James Gunn movie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was thinking when Dan said, "Oh, it's not really a James Gunn film." During the movie, I'm like, "Are we sure James Gunn didn't direct this?"
like needle drops, but like
Needle drops.
backrooms needle drops. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I hope the backrooms reference makes sense. Kind of like it's like trying to do a James Gunn movie if you've only seen it once and you're like trying to, you know what I mean? It's like it's kinda, but not exactly. And if this is going to, if the DCU, which I hope is not going to become this, but if it's going to become a bunch of people trying to reference, remix, represent James Gunn and James Gunnify everything, I am concerned.
Yeah.
You know, because Superman was fantastic, and we didn't talk about this on record, Dan, but you liked it, right?
The hot take that I was gonna, the soundbite that I was gonna give here is that this Supergirl is closer to the Superman than I wanted than Superman was. I did not like the Superman film at all.
Really?
Even though I liked it, I would have given it a B also because it's Superman.
Yeah.
In both of my reviews and letter grades, I would definitely admit to a large piece of that being driven by nostalgia and just love for the brand more than love for the movie itself. Because it's not the version of Superman that I want. And actually, Supergirl is closer to the version of Superman that I want, an all-powerful being that can punch a planet. And Superman wasn't that. He was a person who feels and loves and gets scared. I'm like, what? No, we don't want that. We want you to bench press Saturn. That's what we want. That's
I'm
what I want.
so curious about this because what I'm hearing you say, there's nothing wrong with you saying it's your experience, and I also love. I'm one of those weird people who loves Man of Steel and loves that Superman movie because I find them to be both great. But it seems like a lot of the populace is you're either on this side or that side. So I'm curious about what you think about Man of Steel, real quick. I know we're wrapping up because I'm not to say that you have to choose a side because obviously I'm saying that you do not. But I'm wondering if that's closer to where you were because that one feels like he can punch a planet, but he's also feel like he's missing the humanity. And this one has a humanity,
for sure.
But he to you feels like he can't punch a planet. So there's kind of like a
So real quick, I haven't gotten a Superman movie that where I have the version of Superman that I want.
Okay.
All of them are close enough to me, or whatever. All of them are Superman movies, and I'm like, I'll take it. So Man of Steel is playing at my house all the time. It's just in the background, on. Also, so is Superman. It's just I keep it on, I watch it, I enjoy it. So are the Christopher Reeves films. Like all of them are like I just like having Superman on, in the house. So I do. But none of them are the version of Superman that I want. The version of Superman that I want is Alex Ross's Superman in Peace on Earth. The version of Superman that I want is Mark Waid's Kingdom Come.
I love that
Superman.
Yeah.
Like those are the Supermans that I want. I don't think we've seen him on screen yet.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see where we go forward with James Gunn because in the DCU, and I know this is not his movie, but like I said, with where we're going right now with, obsession, with backrooms, with, these geek culture, sci-fi superhero, not just sci-fi superhero movies, this does kind of make me go, uh-oh, was that a pothole we just hit? You know, like what's
Right.
going on here? Because it makes me think
Well,
twice.
that's why I'm encouraged for like Clayface.
Right.
Like, not at all my kind of movie. I don't like horror or body. Like, I don't. That's. But I'm like, hey, that's a story that seems like it could be both self-contained and also part of a universe at the same time.
Yes.
So, and to me, I'm like, I don't know how you would James Gunnify that. I don't even hope that you would try to James Gunn. Like,
Right.
I think that you should do with that what the director seems to be doing with that. It seems like that's the. So I hope that the James Gunn effect is sort of like quarantined to this side of the DCU. And if that's that, then cool. Like, I wish that he directed Supergirl instead of Superman. I wish that somebody else directed Superman, because I think that Supergirl and this book specifically was right up his alley with the stuff that we know for sure he does well. So it's a little bit of a head scratcher with me that, like, wait, he's in the room, but he's not directing it. Like, that seems odd. Like, just switch seats, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's the part that I'm like, I want him to tell more of those stories. I want more Guardians, and I know he's not making more of those, at least now. So, okay, make him over here.
Right.
So I think that's the opportunity for it. And I hope the rest of the DCU, he trusts directors in the same way the MCU did to tell those stories. You want a spy film, get the Russo brothers to do it. You want a comedy, get those people to tell those stories. I hope that that's what they're doing with the DCU, but remains to be seen.
Yeah. As a person who likes every James Gunn movie I've ever watched, like a lot, I do not want every movie to be a James Gunn movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Or for any director to have like it all to be one tone, because I think all these characters are so different that they should have different tones, right? So even with watching, but Supergirl, interesting point that you made, someone was like, it feels like a James Gunn movie. This is before I saw the movie. I'm like, well, from the first issue that I read, the only issue I read, it kind of feels like a James Gunn movie anyway. It has that tone. I don't really have an issue with that, except for the fact that it really felt like a James Gunn movie, but without the soul.
Right. Well, Internet, we want to know what you think. As we said, if you haven't subscribed to the show and you enjoy what you just watched and listened to, hit us with a subscribe, hit us with a like, and also leave a comment letting us know what your letter grade is, what your comments are on this movie. Follow us on socials. We are at KRA-KOOM_media on all the social platforms. Subscribe on YouTube at KRA-KOOM. Dan, where can they find you on the internet to let you know their opinions on Superman and Supergirl and all the stuff we sent you today?
Find me on Twitter, X, at Dan Mall. You can go to my website, danmall.com, or Instagram, Dan Mall Teaches. DM me, tell me you hated my opinions, or tell me you loved them. I would love it.
Ken, what you got?
So my name is Ken. Oh, I don't know why I did that. You can find me at It Can Be Kenny on. I'm Kenny Sparks. You can find me at. I'm Kenny Sparks. You can find me at It Can Be Kenny on and on Threads. You can also find me on YouTube under the It Can Be Whatever network. I have channels such as It Could Be Movies and It Could Be Wrestling, where I both talk about both of those mediums individually in a very calm and non-hyperbolically negative way. My goal is to give you. I mean, this is the worst movie in the world. Women should be embarrassed. Like that is a grifter take. That is not me. But yeah, so my goal is to be the opposite of that and to just give good, honest opinions about things that come from a good faith place. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm your guy.
All right. That's it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.